What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Great on the Chargers social team for having Harrison Butker as a sim in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning, putting together flowers. A very funny bit. They had Michael Penix Jr. walking in the club and everybody in Atlanta being like, huh? Like record scratch sort of moment. There's a lot of great
we don't have a lot,
details.
T-Bob, but one thing we do have is a great social media team.
Well, you also have the New Orleans Saints going to L.A.
Yeah, we do.
How about it, dude? Are you excited? You going to make the trip out there?
Certainly if it was in New Orleans, we would make the trip, but I think we all need to make the trip. I think we need to make that a little remote. We'll see if we can get everybody on board. I'll find us a spot out there at SoFi to do the show from.
And it falls at an interesting time. Okay, so you'll have this. Okay, now this does worry me a bit. You'll have week 7, the Thursday night game, and we're kind of bearing the lead on the Saints schedule, so I'll get to the kind of lead in a minute. But the single maybe biggest game you could say is week 7, Broncos at New Orleans. So Sean Payton returning to the Superdome. It's Thursday night football. It's on Amazon. The Saints are slight favorites here at this point in the year. But then right after that, you got to go on the road and face a Los Angeles Chargers team with Jim Harbaugh and what we imagine will be Justin Herbert, maybe better than he's ever been. That's a tough break there. And really, that's how I would describe this Saints schedule is very tough. I mean, 3 of the first 5 weeks, you have the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Chiefs.
Brutal.
Oof.
3 of the first 5 weeks. And then the other 2, so you open at home with Carolina. You better win that game. If you don't win that game, the season is probably already sunk. Because then you go immediately to Dallas, where I think you have an all-time record of like 4-11 against the Cowboys in Dallas. Then the Eagles will come to town, and I know the Eagles collapsed last year, but like, does any of us think the Eagles will be will be bad again?
Oh no, they got
No.
Saquon.
No, because what was their issue late in the season? It was their pass coverage, right?
Saquon's got to be healthy at that point. That's too far into the season for him to be healthy.
Okay, relax. It's
We'll
week
see.
3.
Their 2 biggest issues last year, they kept playing Jalen Hurts when he was hurt, when they shouldn't have done that. They had Mariota. He could have held it together a little bit. They kept playing him when he was injured, and their pass defense was awful. They get Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, first and second round picks.
Yeah.
Like, you have your 2 corners. If both of them work out, the Eagles could be a lot better defensively.
They had Eli Ricks starting at the end of last year,
Yeah.
so I mean they go and draft 2 first-round basically corners. They're going to be much improved. And Devin White's going to be in the middle of the defense as well.
Devin White's on the Eagles now?
Devin White on the
Yeah.
Eagles.
Wow.
Whoa.
Jeez.
Of course.
Eagles favored by 3 right now in New Orleans, just to give you an idea.
They got to watch Carr first. It'll change for sure.
Then you got to go to Atlanta, who I was surprised. Atlanta 4.5-point favorites here. So I know Atlanta's kind of considered to be the class of the NFC South. That maybe still feels a bit of a big gap to me. So right after to Atlanta, then you go to Kansas City. I mean, the potential for 1-4 is really high.
Yeah.
And what worries me, Jake, is at the beginning of the NFL season, nobody actually knows if they're good or bad yet, so everybody still has belief. If this was the back end of the schedule, if you would flip it, the Saints front and back, I'd say, okay, this is manageable. But like, if you start 1-4, you're going to start believing that you're bad, right? And if you start believing that you're bad, well, then all bets are off, and I don't know how any of this is going to work out because it's not like it gets any easier. I mean, are you better than the Bucks? I'm not sure. You got them next. As we said, then you got the emotional Broncos game straight into the Chargers, then straight into at Carolina. It's just, it's not, I mean, the Browns coming to town, but they're favored. They're road favorites. Rams coming to town. They're road favorites. It's, and so much of this informed by the fact that the Saints have not been good, and they've had a very easy schedule the last 2 years and haven't done anything with it.
What was the number we said the other day? I think they, like, as far as winning percentage against your opponents coming up this year, it was good for them because it was 31st in the NFL.
Which is so crazy because when you look at this schedule, nothing about it feels good.
Well, I think it's because you had, obviously, the Chargers only win 5 games a year ago.
That's
they
true.
clean
That's
house,
fair.
and they bring in a lot of new. Carolina, you get them twice. They were really bad.
The
and
NFC
so
South in general helps that out.
It does. And then you have the Commanders and Giants from the East. That's going to help that out as well. But we're assuming those teams are going to be much better. Like, that's the problem.
Well, and the other problem is that's at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So you could already be dead and buried, and it's like, what does it matter? I do like the Commanders coming to town. Jaden Daniels,
Yeah.
going to come back to the Superdome and play in front of a Louisiana crowd after becoming a bit of a Louisiana legend. I hate going to Green Bay for Monday Night Football in Week 16.
I was waiting for you to say that. Like that's the one I'm looking at. Like that's the sore thumb. Like
That's
right
gonna
before Christmas?
be wild to see. I'm just fascinated to see how good Jordan Love is at that point. Is he the quarterback that we saw for the first 9 weeks of the year last year, which was okay, or the one for the last 8 weeks, which is like a top 10, borderline top 5 guy?
I think he might be top 10 this year for sure.
We'll see. Remember, though, that's
I
how
like
we
the
felt about
weapons.
Trevor Lawrence after 2 years ago, and then Trevor Lawrence had all I'm saying is at quarterback,
sure.
the NFL will humble you fast.
It will.
And so I'm still not 1,000% sold on Jordan Love. The Packers, 5-point favorites.
Yeah, I'm more of a Matt LaFleur, and I just like what Green Bay got going on. I think they're very young. I think they're young. They got a lot of good young talent, especially receiving core. There's a bunch of nobodies that became,
if you're at the Senior Bowl, Reed was not a nobody.
Well, yeah, but
Nobody
going
could cover
into
that guy
going
at
into
Senior
the
Bowl.
the season, you didn't know who the receivers were.
Yeah.
And as the season
Casual.
progressed, but like as the season went on, you're like, okay, these guys.
Well,
like,
that's
is that
kind
the
of Green
Wicks
Bay.
guy?
They get guys.
No, to Jordan's point, I had no idea who any of the Packers were. I mean, they were the youngest team in the NFL last year. Were they like an average age of like 24 or something?
It was extremely young.
Who said we? Somebody said we?
And that's it. I mean, there was some players that they took in out of the Senior Bowl that were the best players during the practice at the Senior Bowl, and that's what the Packers kind of do. The Packers always find ways to get receivers that you're like, oh, I've never heard of that, and they end up being really good players. I mean, they do their homework at that position, and you look at the history of the Packers and the receivers that they've gotten in the second or third round, man, it is elite.
And then maybe the biggest game of the year, a game that will almost undoubtedly have massive playoff implications. Raiders at Saints. That's right. The Dennis Allen, Derek Carr revenge game. Okay, we have rebuilt the Raiders here in New Orleans. Can you prove to be the superior Raider team?
I was about to say it's not just Derek Carr and Dennis Allen, right? I mean, how many Raiders and free agents has this team been tied
We're
to?
still just missing
like
Hunter
Abram.
Renfro. Hunter, where are you?
Still a free
Monroe.
agent?
That's what I'm saying. Get your ass down here.
So, do you think that the Raiders game is bigger than the Broncos game?
No,
as
I was being very
Oh,
sarcastic.
Okay, I was like,
I don't think.
definitely
I
kidding.
think there's almost zero chance that this game has any playoff implications. This game will be like the old thought experiment. If a tree falls in the woods and no one's
Nobody
around to
hears it,
hear it, does it make a noise?
Yeah.
Like if you play an NFL game and nobody actually cares about it, does the result count? We'll figure out. Coming up week 17. If I sound pessimistic, it's because quite frankly I am.
You should be.
I know the winning percentage schedule, but I hate the makeup of this schedule. I think it's a schedule that could throw you into a deep, dark hole right at the beginning, shatter your confidence, and then even with the kind of lightning on the back end, it may just be too little too late. Or maybe you enter one of those awful years where you start like 2-8 and then finish like 7-10. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but still, it's like You're in an awful NFC South, but do we have like super confidence that you're going to do well against the NFC South
you
after
can't.
what we've seen the last 2 years?
You can't.
Have we mentioned that the Sean Payton coming back to New Orleans?
Yeah, that's what the Thursday night. That's kind of the big emotional high. Thursday night in the Superdome, Sean Payton, and then I hate that immediately after that you got to hit the road and go play LA in LA.
I know. I feel like them putting that game though on like literally prime time standalone game.
Oh, they know what they're doing.
That is going to be all week leading into that. That's all you're going to hear. Like even here on the screens and First Take and Get Up. Like there's going to be a lot that goes into that game emotionally.
As it should be. Peyton's got a very complicated legacy now with how he left. And it's weird because on one hand, you have to undoubtedly be super thankful for the man who was the architect of, the golden age of Saints football and even bringing you a Super Bowl. But on the other hand, like he 1,000% broke up with you and left you when he was essentially like an owner of the team. He had more power than any head coach in the NFL in an organizational standpoint, and he broke up with you. And the worst part about it is, Jake, he was honest. He never said he was done coaching. He said he just wanted a break. Like he was very honest about I'm just gonna leave and go end up coaching somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'm still angry about it though. What about you, Jordan? Are you angry at Sean Payton?
I'm not angry because we did get a first-round pick for him. It wasn't like he just left and we didn't get anything for him.
That's true.
We did get something in the back end, but at the same time, I mean, look, if he goes on to have success for the Broncos, would I feel some type of way? It depends. It really does depend.
Sounds like you're rooting against him.
Oh, I mean, I'm not rooting for him. So,
yeah. That's what it's complicated.
I'm in the middle.
It's complicated. There is a little bit of negative motivation there.
I respect him because he did save New Orleans. Like, he basically saved the Saints. Him and Drew Brees, like, they saved the Saints. So, yeah, that's also in me. But also, like you said, he broke up with us, too. So, it's like,
Okay, let's end this real quick. No explanation. Go around. Give me a win total prediction after seeing this schedule.
7-8.
Yeah, I'm back at 7 and 10.
I was going to say 8.
Jake? 8 and 9, 8, 9, 7, 10. Yeah, that seems to be where everybody's head's at. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.